Every generation has certain foods that define their childhoods. Some persist throughout the decades, while others decline in popularity and fade into obscurity. For children of the 1990s, one such food was Dunkaroos, a beloved sweet snack food introduced in 1992. After 20 years, Dunkaroos was discontinued in the United States before making a surprising comeback in 2020. This is the rise and fall and rise again of Dunkaroos. In the 1980s and 1990s, Americans had an increasing appetite for snacks. And not just any snacks. They wanted snacks that could be taken anywhere at any time. As industry expert Robert Hilliek told the New York Times, Americans are snacking at an ever-increasing rate due to our population makeup. About 60% are 40 years old or younger, and they are snack food eaters who don't have the time or interest to sit down and eat 3 square meals a day. The demand for convenient eat-on-the-run foods gave rise to Kraft Handy Snacks, Oscar Mayer's Lunchables, and General Mills' Dunkaroos. Introduced to test markets in 1992, Dunkaroos were marketed under the Betty Crocker brand and featured bite-sized kangaroo-shaped graham cracker cookies and Betty Crocker Creamy Deluxe vanilla or chocolate frosting. Dunkaroos were packaged in single-serve plastic containers, with one compartment for the cookies and the other for the frosting. The idea was that you could dip or dunk the cookies in the frosting. Dunkaroos was part of a long line of General Mills sweet snack foods that also included fruit roll-ups, fruit by the foot, and fruit gushers. And it wasn't the only new General Mills snack making its debut. Over a 12-month period, General Mills introduced 6 new snacks, including Incredibites, bite-sized granola sandwiches with cream centers. "We really aren't putting more emphasis on snacks," a company spokesperson told the Minneapolis Star-Tribune. "It just happens that we've had a lot of good ideas on snacks." And the company had good reason to keep the snack ideas coming. Snack foods had become a burgeoning market, with retail sales in 1990 reaching a record $12.67 billion. And in response, food manufacturers were feverishly introducing record numbers of new snack products or new variations of existing ones. Despite being one of many new snack foods, Dunkaroos stood out. It was General Mills' first foray into the cookie category. And according to General Mills archivist, it was also the first time cookies and frosting were paired together in one convenient package. And while General Mills snacks like fruit roll-ups and Incredibites were advertised to parents as being wholesome and healthy, Dunkaroos made no such pretense. Ads instead emphasized their fun quality, telling parents, "New Dunkaroos, dunking fun your kids will love," and telling kids, "You don't just eat, you Dunkaroos." And Dunkaroos is the cookie you dunk for as much frosting as you want. So how do you do your Dunkaroos? Adults of the 90s were baffled by Dunkaroos. One newspaper reporter wrote, "Every once in a while, a company produces a good so incredibly non-nutritious, so incredibly just junk food that it raises my ire. Betty Crocker's new Dunkaroos is just such a product." Another wrote, "As far as taste, the cookies are fine, but the frosting tastes like liquid styrofoam with cake coloring." Luckily for General Mills, it didn't need to convince adults. Dunkaroos were meant to appeal to kids. And to reach the kid consumer market, the company needed to create a mascot equally fun as dunking cookies in frosting. The name Dunkaroo was a combination of dunk and kangaroo, and so it only made sense to give Dunkaroos a kangaroo spokes-character, who was originally called Sydney. Self-described as an Aussie hunk, Sydney was actually voiced by American actor John Cameron Mitchell. In the context of the time, it was popular to use Australian accents in American commercials. Besides Dunkaroos, US marketers used Australian accents in the 1980s and the 1990s to sell anything from soft drinks to beer to barbecues to long-distance phone calls. The trend was likely the result of the 1986 film Crocodile Dundee, and marketers believed using an Australian accent would imbue their commercials and products with passion and an air of adventure. However, Sydney the Australian kangaroo was short-lived as Dunkaroos' mascot. In 1996, General Mills held a Kangaroo Kangahoo contest, asking Dunkaroo fans to create a new mascot. The winning concept was Duncan the Daredevil, an Evel Knievel-type kangaroo who performed daring tricks all in the name of getting hold of some Dunkaroos. This new kangaroo spokes-character also lost the Australian accent.
Where? You! Who's the new Dunkaroos kangaroo? He's Duncan, the Duncan Daredevil! Dunkaroos! Let me at all that frosting!
Duncan was later shortened to simply Dunk, but the mascot's identity remained in flux throughout the 2000s, sometimes appearing more youthful with a backwards baseball cap and t-shirt, and other times resembling the Australian adventurer of the early 1990s. At first, Dunkaroos seemed successful. General Mills' 1993 annual report noted that Incredibites and Dunkaroos had successfully expanded the $555 million grain snacks category and had achieved good volume and strong results. And the company invested in new flavors for Dunkaroos, including peanut butter, cookies and cream, chocolate chip, cinnamon, and of course, the wildly popular rainbow sprinkles varieties in quick succession. Dunkaroos' success laid in who they were made for and marketed to: the children of the 1990s. General Mills positioned Dunkaroos as a lunchbox and after-school staple by making their product both sweet and fun. Kids love snacks that have an action associated with them, a General Mills spokesperson told Ad Age, defying decades of parents who reprimanded their children for playing with their food. And General Mills and Dunkaroos were not alone. Between 1989 and 1994, more than 650 fun food and grocery products were introduced specifically for children. Trends analyst Arnold Brown noted, "Manufacturers know kids play with their food, so they're saying, we might as well co-opt this, not fight it." By the early 2000s, food and beverage sales to children and youth reached $27 billion. But things were changing. There was mounting concern over what some called an epidemic of marketing-related diseases, namely childhood obesity. In 2007, General Mills voluntarily agreed to stop advertising its products with more than 12 grams of sugar to children under the age of 12. For context, Dunkaroos had between 13 and 18 grams of sugar. More broadly, General Mills was shifting focus, responding to consumer demand for healthier snacks. Dunkaroos no longer fit into the company's goal of a more nutritious snack portfolio. And so, in May 2012, General Mills discontinued Dunkaroos in the United States. The brand remained available in Canada, and in 2016, Canadians were encouraged to smuggle Dunkaroos into the US to share with their neighbors to the south. General Mills even facilitated Dunkaroo meetups and exchanges via a special website called Smuggleroos. It's not clear how popular this practice was, and Dunkaroos were subsequently discontinued in Canada. But it was perhaps an early sign that Dunkaroos could, in fact, make a comeback. It was clear to General Mills that Dunkaroos were missed. General Mills archivist described Dunkaroos as one of the company's most beloved discontinued snacks, with fans creating petitions pleading for General Mills to bring back Dunkaroos. By 2019, it seemed like Dunkaroos had some signs of life. General Mills introduced Go-Gurt Dunkarts, which were a graham cracker stick and yogurt combination made for dunking, leading some to speculate that the company was testing the waters for a Dunkaroos return. Then in 2020, after 8 years, General Mills officially brought Dunkaroos back. But this time, the company wasn't marketing Dunkaroos to kids. It was marketing them to adults. A Dunkaroos brand Instagram account appeared and posted, "Frosted Tips? Totally not coming back. Cassette tapes? Definitely not coming back. 90s fashion? Probably coming back. Dunkaroos? Definitely coming back. Summer 2020. Children of the 90s and early aughts were now in their 20s and 30s, and they inspired a new era of nostalgia-based marketing. By bringing consumers back to their own childhoods, nostalgia marketing could convince adults to buy an indulgent snack like Dunkaroos, not for their children, but for themselves. Because General Mills wanted specifically to appeal to nostalgia, the company reportedly kept the ingredients the same, bringing back the same cookies and icing as before. And they didn't stop at graham cracker cookies and icing. The company introduced a whole slew of new Dunkaroos branded products, including Dunkaroos frosting, cookie mix, pancake mix, and even clothing. Will Dunkaroos disappear again? No one can say for sure, but for now it seems like General Mills is committed to keeping the brand alive. Chief Brand Officer told the New York Times, "You don't have to worry at this point about stocking them up and putting them in your zombie apocalypse locker. We should have them out there so you can buy them." The question will be if the brand can survive on nostalgia alone. And if it can't, how will General Mills attract new consumers? Whatever the future of Dunkaroos, fans are delighted that the brand is back. And consumers once more have the freedom to choose how they dunk their Dunkaroos. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this look back at the history of Dunkaroos. I didn't have Dunkaroos growing up, but I have a big sweet tooth. And as a kid, I used to sneak icing from the cans, so I think Dunkaroos would have been a big hit with me. If you like this video and you would like to hear me talk about the history of other ordinary things, please consider giving this video a like and subscribing to my channel below. Thank you again, and I'll see you next time.